What's good, you beautiful train wrecks? Hey, how's it going? What's going on there? How are you over there? Good. Welcome to Sober Psychology. I'm Michael, psychologist in training, sober dad, and the guy who's screwed up enough to know that you are your own worst enemy. That's right, I said you. Today we're diving into self-sabotage. It's that sneaky, soul-crushing habit of torching your own life just when life is finally beginning to look up. Raise your hand if you do it. I know that you do. Raise your hand. You liar. You're not raising your... whatever. It's like bailing on a job interview or cheating on your diet or picking a fight with your partner because everything is too good to be true. So let's not bullshit. You're screwing yourself over. And then you're whining about how life is a rigged game. And here's the newsflash. You're the one stacking the deck against yourself. Okay? I'm unpacking why you keep throwing grenades at your own happiness, what science says about this dumpster fire that you've created for yourself, and how to stop being a one-person wrecking crew. This is going to be raw, and it's going to be real, and hit harder than a hangover headache. Boy, do we know what that's like around here. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm here to slap you awake with dark humor and hard truth. That's it. That's what we do on this channel. It's how we roll. Get over it. If you don't like it, well, just stick around. Whatever. So, like I said, stick around because by the end of this, you'll know why you are your own biggest hater, how to spot self-sabotage, and how to quit blowing up your own life. We're digging deep into the psychology of why you keep tripping over your own damn feet with practical tips to get you out of your way. All right, so let's rip this open. Welcome to the show where we break down the mental health stigma, navigate sobriety with humor, and prove that it's okay to laugh while you heal. Let's get real, let's get honest, and maybe a little weird. Growth is messy, but you don't have to do it alone. This is Sober Psychology. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Another week, episode 39. We are rolling along. We're almost into the 40s. Is that how that works? After 39 comes 40, trust me. So anyways, I want to say thank you to all of you YouTube warriors out there. You guys are great. I'm not even going to post all of the infographics like we've been doing the last couple of episodes. We'll still make a push to promote the channel. Don't get me wrong, but thank you. I appreciate the response, appreciate the love. I've had a lot of comments. Like, you guys are great. You guys are just, it gives me all the warm fuzzies on the inside. And I love you guys for it. I want to talk about this episode this week being self-sabotage because it's something that I have consistently dealt with throughout my adult life, as long as I can remember really focusing on like my mental health. But especially as a recovered guy, I don't bring up a lot of addiction recovery in this episode, but it's there. It coincides with addiction, right? This is just life in general. This is just humaning. This is the psychology of it all. So we're gonna break it down. But again, I guess the shameless self-promotion, you know, if any of this resonates with you, if you like any of it, if you have any tips, things that you want to hear. I mean, you know, maybe we'll open that forum up at some point of seeing, you know, what are some episodes that you want to have me dive in deep on. But yeah, hit the like button, share it with a friend, someone who's self-sabotaging, maybe. I don't know, just anything. But anyways, I appreciate you for being here. We're going to dive right into part one of this, which is just explaining what is self-sabotage and why you are a pro at it. Okay? Self-sabotage is when you deliberately, and yes, I said deliberately, F up your own goals. It's not like a whoopsie. It's you laying traps for yourself and then crying when you step in them, right? You see this cycle that you can create with that? Procrastinating on that big project, ghosting a decent date, cracking open a bottle to celebrate a good day. All of that is self-sabotage, and you're a damn Olympian at it. There's a 2019 study in personality and individual differences that found that self-sabotage is tied to low self-esteem and high fear of failure and your own twisted need to protect your fragile ego. Okay? You're not just lazy, you're terrified of proving that you're not a loser you're not the loser that you secretly think that you are. Right? So again, we've got the ego, and we've got the fear, and we've got the self-esteem, all of this wrapped up into where the self-sabotage is really starting to originate from. Okay? But here's the gut punch for this. You sabotage yourself because winning feels scarier than losing. Hear me say that again. You self-sabotage yourself because winning feels scarier than losing. Success means pressure, expectations, and maybe realizing that you're not the screw up that you thought. So you burn it all down to stay cozy in your pit of misery, or misery pit, however you want to say that. Stop acting like life is screwing you. You're the one holding the screwdriver, you goof. So this ties into self-handicapping, which is a concept from Stephen Berglas, I believe, Berglas, and Edward Jones's 1980s work. Okay, and you can go look up that study. I'll put a reference into it at the bottom of this, but you create obstacles, like staying up all night before a test. So you've got an excuse when you fail, right? I'm not dumb, I was just tired, right? How many of you have done that? I've been there, right? But we self-sabotage ourselves to try and guard that ego as best we can. Okay, we now have an excuse. Maybe I am actually dumb, or maybe I didn't read enough or pay attention enough in class or study enough to do well on this test. But instead of admitting that I'm a failure at studying and I'm not good at school, I'm going to stay up all night and people are going to know it. And that way, when I go in to take that test, I was just tired. That's why I didn't do it, right? A lot of people I know that are like this. I have been like this myself, right? There's a 2020 study in the Journal of Behavioral Decision Making that showed that self-handicapping protects your ego, but it tanks your performance, your relationships, and your mental health, all right? So for me, self-sabotage was drinking through a decade of good potential, okay? Every time I got close to something good, whether it be a job or a relationship or friendship, a networking connection, whatever it may be, I'd pour whiskey on it and I'd call it fate. It's just fate, right? It's just bullshit. It was fear in a shot glass. That's all that is, right? Let's get a little heavier with this. Self-sabotage can be a trauma response, okay? We've talked about this a little bit on this channel, but we're going to dive in a little more right here. If you grew up in chaos, right, which is abusive parents, neglect, whatever, your brain might be wired to expect failure. All right, there was a 2021 study in the Journal of Trauma and Dissociation, I said that correctly, all right, whatever. It found that trauma survivors often sabotage opportunities to avoid the vulnerability of success. Okay, trauma survivors often sabotage opportunities to avoid the vulnerability of success. You're not just bad at life, your past taught you that stability is a lie. Okay, so you blow it up before it blows up on you. And recognizing this, it doesn't excuse it by any means. It explains why you've got to fight harder to break that cycle. There's so many people who are trauma survivors. There's so many people who have been through awful things. You didn't have a consistent caregiver, whatever it may be. Attachment theory, John Bowlby, we talk about that here in a little bit, I think. But if you're wired growing up to fear stability, when everything is good, that means that something's about to blow up. You're going to carry that on through the rest of your life if you don't work on it. Okay, so you may get something really good. You may get that incredible promotion and that incredible salary or whatever level of success you're looking for, and then you're going to crash and burn it all because you don't believe in the stability that that's going to provide. You don't believe that you're worthy of that success. You have been taught and wired as a kid who grew up in a household that was not stable, around people who were not stable. You're going to teach yourself that anytime something good happens, I'm just waiting for the next shoe to fall. Here we go. And you go ahead and crash it before it crashes on you, right? Self-sabotage, wrapped up with a bow on it. That's the definition. Part 2, this is going to be the psychology behind your self-destructive bullshit, okay? Why do you keep doing this? It's not bad luck. It's your brain playing dirty. Self-sabotage often stems from cognitive distortions, those fun little lies that your mind spins, right? Aaron Beck's cognitive theory says thoughts like, I'm a failure or I don't deserve this drive self-destructive behavior. Okay, there's a 2018 study in cognitive therapy and research that found that negative self-talk predicts self-sabotage in relationships, work, and health, right? You tell yourself that you're garbage, so you act like it. Skipping the gym, flaking on deadlines, or starting fights over nothing, all right? And here's a dark truth for you. You sabotage yourself because you think that you're trash. And that's not deep, it's just dumb, right? Your inner critic is not a prophet, it's a liar. We've talked about how much your brain is a liar on this channel too, a ton. There's a 2021 study in psychological science that showed that challenging negative thoughts cuts self-sabotaging behaviors by about 40%, roughly, okay? So tell that voice in your head to shut the F up and then go and prove it wrong, right? And here's the attachment theory. I told y'all we were gonna talk about our boy John Bowlby. But attachment theory, you could thank John Bowlby for it, also explains this. If you grow up with inconsistent or crappy caregivers, you might have an insecure attachment style, right? And that's going to eventually make you push away good things before they ditch you first, right? I'm going to hurt you before you can hurt me. There's a 2020 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships that linked anxious attachment to self-sabotage in relationships, right? Like starting drama because you're scared that your partner's too good for you. I used to do this all the freaking time, right? Things would get stable. I'd pick a fight or drink to test if they were going to stick around and hit the they didn't. There's a spoiler alert for you. They didn't, right? I always put these people so far above me. I did this in friendships. I did it in relationships. I did it at work. Whatever it may be. Everything is so much better than me. I don't deserve anything good, and I'm tired of getting hurt, so I'm going to hurt you before you can hurt me, right? And so I would sabotage it in whatever way I can, right? And then here's the other tough one. This one's very difficult for a lot of you, but there's the fear of success, which sounds like some ridiculous nonsense, but it's painfully, painfully real. There's a 2017 study in the Journal of Personality that found that people with low self-efficacy, which is basically just the belief in your ability to succeed, they will sabotage opportunities to avoid the pressure of maintaining success. Sabotage opportunities to avoid the pressure of maintaining success. All right, you would rather, how am I going to say this? You would rather risk being a winner who fails, all right? And wait, how am I saying this in my head? You would rather stay the underdog than risk being a winner who fails. That's how I'm wanting to say it. We got there. All right. And I mean, if we get a little bit heavier with this, which gets kind of scary when you think about it, but for some, self-sabotage is a screwed up form of self-punishment, right? If you've got unresolved guilt or shame, which, say a lot of people that struggle with addiction or people who have trauma, right? You might feel that you don't deserve any type of happiness, right? There was a 2022 study in the Clinical Psychology Review that linked self-sabotage to internalized shame. And there was a big connection with this too, right? Especially in addiction and recovery, right? And I've been there, again, fortunately, since I've been sober, I haven't relapsed, but I've been there where, every time that I would try to get sober, I would quit. One of the reasons was because I didn't believe that I deserved a clean slate, right? I would get to this mentality of like, I'm just supposed to be a drunk for the rest of my life. That's just what it's supposed to be, right? It's not just you, it's a battle, okay? And I'm not trying to cast the blame off on anything, because it is us, it's our fault. But at the end of the day, like, you got to understand, you're going in for a battle here. It's going to be tough. It's supposed to be tough. You can't just keep giving in, right? All right. Part 3 of this is the dark side of self-sabotage. Okay. This one's kind of deep, so hang in there with me. There's a lot of heavy hitters in this one. Did a lot of research on this part, but this is the dark side of the self-sabotage. Self-sabotage isn't just a cute quirk. Okay, it's a damn wrecking ball, basically, is what it is. It doesn't just screw you, it F's over everyone around you. The deadline that you blew, now your team is pissed, right? That relationship that you tanked because of your paranoia, right? Now your partner is gone and they're hurting from it. They now have battle scars from you, right? There's a 2019 study in Frontiers in Psychology that found that chronic self-sabotage leads to higher depression, anxiety, and relationship conflict, right? You're not just messing up, right? You're building a life that nobody wants to touch with a 10-foot pole, Hear me say that again. You're building a life that no one wants to touch with a 10-foot pole. You become this master of chaos, this agent of destruction, this cancerous entity in everybody's life, and no one wants to be around you because of that, right? Oftentimes people who are just chronic self-sabotaging human beings find themselves very, very lonely. There's a reason for that. No one wants to hang on to the anchor in the middle of the ocean, right? You're just falling. You're just going to free fall until it hits rock bottom, okay? Self-sabotage is absolutely selfish as hell, right? You're so busy protecting your own ego that you're torching everyone who cares about you, right? Your friends, your family, your coworkers, they're catching shrapnel from your personal implosions. So stop acting like your screw-ups only hurt you. Grow the F up or get used to being alone. That's it. All right. And if we go even deeper with this, self-sabotage can spiral into very, very, very serious mental health crises. All right, there's a 2021 study in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology that linked chronic self-handicapping to increased risks of suicidal ideation. And why is that? It's because when you keep blowing up your own life, you start to believe that you're better off gone. And I've stared, fellas, ladies, I've stared into that abyss, right? Addiction made me think that I was saving the world by destroying myself. Right? It's not noble. It's a lie that keeps you stuck. And in relationships, self-sabotage can mimic abuse. Right? There's a 2020 study in Violence and Victims that found that self-sabotaging behaviors like stonewalling or starting fights can emotionally harm partners, even if you don't mean for it to. You're not just hurting yourself, you're dragging others down with you. And that is terrifying that we don't even realize it when we're doing it, right? And then addiction is the ugliest side of this, right? Self-sabotage and substance abuse are like Bonnie and Clyde. There's a 2021 study in addiction that found that self-destructive behaviors like skipping recovery meetings or testing yourself with a drink, right? Those are the top predictors of relapse. And I used to think that a shot of whiskey was my reward for surviving a good day. And I was 100% wrong. It was me blowing up my progress because I didn't believe that I deserved it. Right? And if you're in recovery, self-sabotage isn't just a slip, it's a one-way ticket to hell, right? And if we're talking about recovery and addiction, one thing that hit me real hard and was very eye-opening and also difficult to talk about was the fact that self-sabotage, blowing my life up, knowing that if I go and take that drink, that I'm going to spiral out of control in a short amount of time. That was the only part that I could control. I could control the fact that I was going to be out of control. And that one is difficult, right? I've lived this life where, survived an abusive household. I've got an emotionally both my parents are emotionally abusive. My father's physically abusive. And you don't realize as much or how much it impacts you until later on in life. But I got to this point where I just believed that I was a piece of garbage and I don't deserve anything. And so I hurt on the inside. And even though I wasn't able to pay attention to it, I wasn't willing to own any of that and start working through it the right ways. I kept avoiding. But you get to this point where you think, I'm so out of control. Everything in my life is out of control. And part of that is true. It's still true. I'm sober. I've been sober for almost 5 years. My life is out of control in the sense that I don't control other people. I just control me. I've got a 7-month-old child. I still don't control him. I feed him. I take care of him. We play, we hang out, we laugh, but he's still going to be who he is, right? I don't control anybody. I can just control me. And so when you get so wrapped up in these feelings and these harsh emotions and these things that constantly are stirring up and you're not doing the work around it, you get to this scary spot of feeling like you're just free falling. And what's one way that I can control that? By getting out of control. And I can control the fact that every single time that I drink without fail, my life is going to just dissolve around me. It's going to be absolute chaos. I'm going to end up in jail. I'm going to end up hurt. I'm going to end up hurting someone else. But I have some level of control over that. And I think a lot of addicts and alcoholics get to this point where they run to that because it's giving them some false idea of having a foothold in something. There's something that's stable, right? And that's a scary place to be in when the only stability you have in your life is your instability. It's terrifying. Part 4, how to stop being your own worst enemy. I told y'all, we have solutions. We provide solutions here too. We don't just stir up all the junk, but here we go. Step 1, name your poison. Stop calling it bad luck or saying life's unfair. Label your sabotage, okay? Whether it's procrastination, avoidance, picking fights, whatever it is, and then own it, all right? There was a 2020 study in the Journal of Applied Psychology that found that self-awareness is the first step to breaking self-destructive patterns, okay? Write down just one way that you sabotage yourself. Seeing it on paper makes it very real, right? Not some vague, I'm a mess bullshit. Like, write it down on a sheet of paper and make it real. What's one way? This is like eating an elephant, ladies and gents. This is just taking it one bite at a time. You don't have to solve all of it overnight. Just start the process, put it to work, okay? Don't passively do it. Don't just do it in your head. Do the work. Write down how am I self-sabotaging myself? I'm constantly procrastinating, or I'm the guy who goes and starts fights, whatever it is, okay? Own it, name it, right? And here's a pro tip for you. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to change, right? That's just self-sabotage in a wig is all that is. Start very small, like answering one email on time or skipping that extra drink, whatever it is. There's a 2019 study in Psychological Bulletin that showed that small specific goals boost self-efficacy and cut self-handicapping by 30%. Do it or you're just lying to yourself again, right? Do one thing, right? Just make your bed. Read that book. That's a good book, right? Just make your bed, right? Do that one thing. Just respond to that text message in a timely manner. Call that one person that's been on your mind. And just do one thing that's responsible, and then you'll slowly but surely start to realize that as you do that, just one thing a day, you're feeling a lot better about yourself. That self-efficacy, that confidence in your ability to be able to do things well is going to start to skyrocket more and more, okay? Just one freaking thing. Step 2, reframe your fears, right? You got a fear of failure or success. Both are just stories that you're telling yourself, right? Use CBT techniques. Challenge those thoughts. Ask, what's the worst that'll happen if I succeed? The absolute worst that's going to happen if I succeed, right? There's a 2021 study in cognitive therapy and research that found that cognitive restructuring reduces self-sabotage by 35%. Big number, okay? Replace the idea that I'll screw this up with I'll try and see what happens. And if shame is what is driving you, dig into it. That's fine, okay? Talk about it. Get into it. Journal about where it comes from, whether it's trauma, guilt, whatever. There's a 2022 study in Clinical Psychology Review that showed that processing shame with mindfulness or therapy cuts self-destructive behaviors. Big time. Big numbers, right? You don't have to carry the weight forever, okay? Start the work behind it. Step 3, get accountability. Tell a friend, a therapist, or help, a cat, whatever. Just tell them what you're working on. There's a 2020, I know I'm throwing a lot of studies at y'all, but here we go. There's a 2020 study in behavior research and therapy that found that external accountability, like regular check-ins, whatever, that increases follow-through by 50%. 50%, big number, okay? I've leaned on my sponsor. I've leaned on the friends that I made in recovery. I've leaned on new friends that I've made where they're aware that I'm a recovered guy and I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to be around it. All the guys that I'm around that do drink, which is rare, but still they know that I don't drink. They're not going to offer me anything. And if they see me with anything in my hand, I'd venture to say the majority of them are going to slap that out of my hand before they slap my face, right? That's high accountability. But I've leaned on those people to stop me from sabotaging my sobriety. All right. You got to find your people and don't let them let you off the hook, period. Right. If you're in recovery, double down, join a group, get a sponsor, anything to keep you honest. Whatever it takes. Relapse starts with the small sabotages. Do not let them snowball. Do not surround yourself with these people who will hold you accountable to a certain point. These people who I know that they'll hold me accountable, but I could talk them out of it. No, the answer is just no, right? Like do this for yourself. Surround yourself with the people who will do that for you, okay? And then step 4, celebrate the small wins. Ladies and gents, I'm awful at this. This is one of those areas I really have to start working on, but celebrate the small wins. Self-sabotage thrives on you feeling like a failure. The 2019 study in the Journal of Positive Psychology that found that acknowledging small success, like sticking to a goal for 1 week, that boosts motivation and reduces self-handicapping, right? Did you finish a task on time? You didn't drunk text your ex. Give yourself a pat on the back, not a punch in the face, right? And I'm not saying throw a party. I'm not saying go crazy with it, but reward yourself. Just acknowledge it even. Just say, okay, I'm proud of myself for that. I did a good thing. This is something I've been struggling with. Here we go. Now we got momentum going, right? You go the other end with that and you keep beating yourself up every time you do something well. Guys, I'm telling y'all, I struggle with this on a daily basis, right? It could be something as small as playing like slow pitch softball and I could hit a home run and everyone's cheering me on. And then I'm just sitting there thinking it wasn't far enough. Or I did it the other night. I hit a home run. I've been in a hitting slump and this is a big deal, right? I've been in a hitting slump. You know, if you're an athlete, you know, you're playing slow pitch softball, you're not at the top, right? You know what I mean? But I hit a home run and I remember everybody celebrating the fact that I hit a home run. I was mad that nobody was on base. It was a solo home run. That was the first thought that came into my mind. What a piece of crap. I just wasted a home run. Hey, get out. What are we doing? I made the presidential dean's list for school. Do you know how hard I've worked to get my GPA up since having a decade of schooling where I tanked it from drinking and being an idiot? I got on the presidential dean's list. That's a letter I have not received much in my scholastic career. What did I do? I just put it in a drawer. It's sitting right over here. It's sitting in a drawer in the corner of my room because it was like, well, it's probably just a scam. They're probably just trying to get me to pay more money. You got a 4.0, bro. Like that's a big deal, right? I refuse to pat myself on the back. And that's a very mentally unhealthy place to be. And I'm sure a lot of you do it, right? You may not have the extreme harmful tendencies and whatnot, but I got to pay attention to where we're celebrating the small wins. Okay. So look, self-sabotage is you playing a rigged game against yourself. That's just what it is, right? It's not fate. It's not bad luck. It's you. It's just 100% you choosing to pull the plug on your own happiness. But you can stop, right? I did it. I've done it. I continue to try and do it. 10 years of torturing my life with booze and bad choices, and I'm still here. I'm still kicking, right? Building something better because I was able to face my shit. That's it, right? The science backs this 100% too, right? Self-awareness, reframing thoughts, accountability, and then the small wins can break the cycle, right? You're not doomed. You're just stuck, and that's okay. Unstick yourself, right? Get back up. Let's go. You deserve a life where you're not your own worst enemy. So take a hard look at where you are screwing yourself over and then do something about it. Right? You're stronger than you think. I promise you that, but only if you stop rigging the game against yourself. Okay? Your challenge for this week, pick one way that you're sabotaging yourself. Procrastination, starting fights, skipping recovery meetings, whatever it is, and then commit to one small change, whatever it is. Remedy. Come on, let's go. Let's get better, right? Write it down, tell somebody, and then just do it. Period. That's it. Drop it in the comments. I want to know about it, right? I'll read every single one. I promise you. Thank y'all so much for rocking with Sober Psychology. If this episode hit you in the gut in any way, smash that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who is their own worst enemy. All right? I'm Michael. I'll catch you next time. YouTube warriors, y'all know what to do. Spotify people, we'll catch you next week. Stay sober, stay real, and stop screwing yourself over. Okay? Keep your head up. Keep your heart open. Go help somebody. Love you guys.